I was doing a follow-up video on the leveling kit and wheel spacers. All in all, I think it turned out pretty well. There was some trimming involved because this is a 35-inch tire on I did a 3-inch level. So let's see here. So that would be a 3-inch level. That's how much it sticks out, I guess you could say. I do need new struts. So if you look at it, let me back up here enough to where I can get the whole truck in. If you look at it, it does have a slight rake to the front, which is fine, I guess. I mean, in reality, if you really look at it, it's kind of sitting like a stock setup would be, lower in the front and higher in the back, and almost at the same rate, I guess you could say, like the same amount of drop in the front versus the rear. But anyway, all in all, I think it turned out pretty good. So I did a 3-inch Motofab level, and that was a 3-inch in the front, well, a 3-inch lift in the front and a 2-inch block in the back. Although, because I didn't, if you look at pictures of these trucks with a 3-inch level, you'll notice that the front actually sits higher than the rear. So what I did was kind of a no-no, as far as if you read on forums and stuff, they'll talk about how stacking blocks is like, you're just not supposed to do it. But I've also read that these custom shops and stuff that do like off-road racing and like Baja stuff, and they'll tell you that stacking blocks is fine. So it's kind of like you get mixed feelings on what is right, what's correct, what's incorrect. So it's kind of like, so what should you do? I just stacked them because I was like, I'm not having my truck sit higher in the front than it does in the rear. That makes no damn sense to me. So let's see if you can see this. Let me see. I might have to get down here. So as you can see, I stacked that 2-inch block on top of my existing block. And that existing block, if you go online and look, all the reading will tell you that your existing block on one of these trucks is 1.5 inches. Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but that looked like a 2-inch block. The stock block was 2-inch. So I would say, you know, I think they're wrong. I think the internet's wrong. That's all I got. I guess there's no other way to put that. I mean, at least the FX4s, I'm not sure if it's all these F150s 04 to 08, but at least this truck had a 2-inch stock block. So I added another 2-inch block for Motofab, so that's 4-inch in the rear. So now that you know that, let's look back at it again. Okay, so that's 4-inch. Okay, and this is 3-inch. My front, once I get the new struts on, it'll probably lift it up another, I'd say a 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch if I'm lucky. It'll bring the nose up a little bit more and maybe level that rake out a little bit. But as it is, I haul trailers, so I'm not really, the rake doesn't bother me. I actually like the rake. It's just, I don't prefer that much rake. So I believe with that 4 inches in the back and maybe another 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of lift in the front would make this sit exactly the way I want it to sit. Although it looks good now. So, like I said, it was the 3-inch Motofab lift off of eBay. I think it was like, what the hell was it, like 90 bucks, $92, something like that, for that 3-inch with a 2-inch rear block. I liked the product. When it came in, I looked at it. It looked nice. It looked a lot more machined and more higher end than what I was expecting for the price. The price I paid actually had me worried that it was going to be kind of like a, I don't know, I was expecting the quality to not look as good as it did, but I mean, it looked very nice. Everything went together easy. If you are doing a leveling kit, make sure you keep in mind that in order to droop your A-arm low enough so that you don't have to struggle to get that strut back in there with the spacer on top of it, you're going to want to unhook your sway bar. If you do not, well, you don't have to unhook it all the way, but you can definitely loosen it up as much as possible, or just take it off if you can. The sway bar link was pretty rusty on my driver's side, so I couldn't take it off all the way. So I just backed it off as much as I could, which is basically the nut was almost all the way off, and that gave me enough room to where I could wedge that strut back up in there. And then when I got to the other side, it wasn't nearly as corroded, so I just pulled that right off, and the strut went up there nice, really easy. So that was nice. So it's a 3-inch Motofab lift with 2-inch spacers. And I don't know what brand spacers they are. They were just some cheapos off of eBay. Once again, eBay to the rescue. But they were like $96 or $97, something like that. They were also very nice. When you're looking at wheel spacers, make sure you get hub-centric, and also make sure that they state the material that they're made out of. Like these ones were 6061. It's just, I don't like those sites where they sell auto parts and they give you zero info. I like to know what the product is, what it's made of, before actually sending them money and hoping that what you get in the mail is what you expected. So anyway, make sure they're hub-centric. Make sure they state what material they're made of. It'd be really nice if they, in the info, they told you what grade studs that they're using. I can't remember if it said what grade studs these were on these spacers, but so far they're holding up really well. They're just doing really well. As far as trimming, you can see there that I trimmed that fender. Like basically this arch that you see was flat across. Okay, it was flat across. But what I did was I took a flapper wheel on a grinder, and I just held it up here, and I just swept back. And I kept sweeping, I just kept doing sweeps back and sweeps back and sweeps back until I took off enough material to where these tires wouldn't rub. Also, if you look right here, I also trimmed the bottom of my rocker back. I took the this little plastic guard right here, I cut the whole face off of it. So basically I still have the plastic guard, and it has a little retaining pin underneath there And then I took the screw that came out of it and I put it right there through the fender flare in a stock location. So basically this screw right here would actually be located behind this fender flare, but holding that little plastic chip guard or whatever the hell you want to call it. So instead of having it between underneath here, I just took it out, ran it right through the fender flare, and then back right through the plastic guard and back into its stock hole to hold everything back. Because I trimmed this flare also, because this flare wraps underneath there and comes out to like here somewhere. So that couldn't be there because my tire was rubbing. So I just cut it straight off, sunk that screw bit back into its stock hole, and took the angle grinder and ground everything off, just flat, straight down. And that's how it turned out. I mean, it turned out really well. And then on the front, this little air dam, if you notice, I just flapper wheeled that off too. Just took the wheel, I found I made an imaginary line, like where I was going to go, and I just went straight across. Just cut it straight off. Well, flapper wheeled it off. I didn't use a grind, like a cutting wheel, because you see a lot of these guys use cutting wheels when they're trying to do straight lines, and it just looks like garbage. However, I did use the cutting wheel on this arch right here. I just flipped it upside down, and I took the wheel and I just rolled it back. I had this tire off, so I just put it on there and just cut, like scribed a line basically with the wheel, and then I kept doing that over and over until that piece of plastic finally just was like, you could just bend it and pull it right off. And then I finished it off to make it smooth with that flapper wheel, to make it look more factory and not hack job. And then if you come over to this side, I did the same thing. However, as you can see, I went a lot more aggressive with that arch because I do have a tad bit of rubbing over on the driver's side. So this side, I just was a little more aggressive on this inner fender, and I have no rubbing on this side. I did the same thing. I cut that off, trimmed the fender flare, put the bolt right back through everything and right back into its stock hole. Went to O'Reilly, picked up a those little plastic pins. Put a new plastic pin in there. I mean, it's nice. It turned out really good. And also on the front, I just cut that straight off as well. Flapper wheeled that right off, straight. And there's some mud or something up there making it look like shit. But anyway, it turned out well. I like it. The 35's, in my opinion, fit. I mean, if you look at these 35's and this wheel well, they're not big. They're not as big as you'd think. I think they fit the wheel well very well. Same with the front. I think 35's look very to scale with the rest of the truck. I think stock wheels just kind of, they just look out of scale. It's kind of like a monster truck when they pull them off the trailers with their little tires on. That's how I see it. It just looks, I don't know, kind of ridiculous. But all right, well, any questions or comments, post them below. And that's it.